Good morning. As the time of this video, good morning to all my peoples. Thanks for joining me on the Foul Play land. I am Foul Player. And I was actually making this video. I said I wasn't going to do a fucking a breakdown video or a post-fight thing. But this fight got a lot of controversy, so I wanted to talk about the fight very briefly, but I wanted to talk about some of the other surrounding issues, particularly like the state of American black boxers in this country, and the reason I'm touching on that is because of some of the reactions that some of the American cats gave Wilder, as far as saying that Wilder got a gift or that Fury got jerked. So I wanted to touch on that, and honestly, like, I mean, I would be doing a disservice to touch on that so briefly. I'm gonna try to go as long as I could, fucking even though I'm not going live, but I have like 0 live audience. I think the last video I did had 4 fucking views. So I mean, it's like I could say like kind of like whatever the hell I want, and like in the grand scheme of things, you know, I could talk about like the worst shit in the world, and you know, it's not, if nobody hears it, you know, who cares? So I mean, I guess I could be as candid as I want to be today, and I mean, you'll have to forgive me too, because I'm a little bit out of sorts. I haven't slept the whole night. Fucking I just came from work, and now I'm here in the WKRB studios. Hold on, let me show you guys. Yeah, I work at a radio station. I don't work at a radio station. Fucking I'm a DJ at a radio station here in New York. But anyhow, my in regards to the fight, and if we go on a statistical basis. CompuBox, which I don't like give any credence to CompuBox for shit. Like, that's some asshole that's like, you know, counting for what he thinks is a shot and what he thinks is not a shot, what got blocked, what didn't get blocked. But I'll go off the CompuBox numbers for this case, not because because they don't seem like outlandish. Like they don't seem like they were terribly skewed one way or the other. I mean, I think BFTB actually made a video where he counted the punches, and his assessment seemed to be on point. Like, BFTB is very thorough, or Best Fight the Best. Subscribe to Best Fight the Best Boxing too. Like, subscribe to his channel. Very thorough in his analysis, and I think he should do more videos where he's like going into fine like analytics, like he's been doing lately. Like, they're very interesting, but. He did something where he more or less counted like the landed shots in the round. I mean per round, and his score was actually 1 point off of my score. Like, I actually had Wilder winning 115-111. I don't have my jump off with me, my notepad now, but I actually have it at the lab. And just full disclosure, because I was actually drinking during the fight, and I wanted to take a piss twice, but that was like in the 11th round. I think the 11th round I had given the Fury anyway, I believe. But one of the other rounds I kind of like missed maybe like 20 seconds, but that one may have been like a toss up. Who knows? Who gives a shit? But whether it was like 115-111 or 114 to 112, I still had Wilder winning. And the thing is that, you know, what's surprising, it's not surprising, and this is gonna kind of like relate to like some of the things that I have to say about the Black American fighters. Notice I said Black American fighters. I didn't say black fighters. I said Black American fighters. But where I'm trying to make sure how much time I got. But you know, in a fight like. As a boxing fan, whether you're a casual boxing fan or semi-casual or a avid boxing fan, you always hear like, oh, for these championship fights, you got to actually beat the guy. And you can't really say with Tyson Fury's performance that he beat like Wilder, like beat him like that, like where you go like take a championship fight, like how they always say like in these championship fights you got to go beat the champion. I mean, was he schooling Wilder like in large degree? Yeah, he was. I'm not gonna front. Some facets of the game, he was schooling Wilder where he was backing up at points. Fury was, and Wilder would come in and leap at him, and he wasn't touching him. And on top of that too, like he was sometimes he was touching him up. Like Fury would land on him when Wilder would try to come in. But most of the times, like Wilder would try to like leap in there, and it wasn't like Fury was like beeping him out, like fucking stopping Wilder from coming in there, like because Fury was landing these shots on him. That was happening here and there sporadically, but it wasn't like with no shit like that. You were like no ooh and ah, like hard ass punches, like where it was stopping Wilder from attempting to come in. He was just stepping out of Wilder's range, here and there, hitting him with shots, and Wilder was just not catching him, like with these like crazy ass like power shots, which I thought Wilder was way off. Like not way off, but I mean I thought Wilder was off on his game. Also, I mean, to kind of like keep going on that point, Fury actually fought a dope fight, and I would say that Fury's performance against Wilder was better than Fury's performance against Klitschko. I mean, and I didn't find the clip like a lot of people like. I hate like typical like verbiage regarding any subject, man. Whether it be politics, boxing, like people say, "Oh, that Fury fight was boring." It was boring, like, but the thing, I mean, the Klitschko Fury fight was boring. I mean, it wasn't no like bash out, like whatever have you. But Klitschko's a boring ass fighter. It's not like just Fury's like more of a technical guy. Klitschko was always known as like the guy who would just pull at you with his jab, like, and stay on the outside, barely landing power shots unless it was like some little guy. And Fury would be, Klitschko would be like tapping somebody up using his height with his jab, and then like when they would get tired out or disenfranchised or they'd get desperate, then sometimes he'd sort of go like to his power game, but he a lot of times he would just keep doing like his little jabs from the outside, and Klitschko fought a lot of bums too. Before he fought the godsend AJ, like he fought a lot of like there were a lot of trash fights that Klitschko fought. But and I consider Klitschko a Hall of Famer. I like the way Klitschko carried himself, but I'm not gonna shit on him just because that's AJ's best victory, and because I don't like the way AJ is moving at the time. Nah, Klitschko's a Hall of Famer. I get, legend, sort of. Legend in a really shitty era, but whatever have you. But in that fight, I didn't consider the Klitschko with Fury fight boring. One, because I barely knew who Fury was at that time. Like, he went in there as an underdog and he beat him. That's kind of like a real event, Or I consider like when something out of the ordinary happened, similar to Saturday's fight, that makes for like a dope fight. Like when Maidana like kind of like gave hell to Mayweather in Maidana Mayweather Part 1, or when Klitschko got beat by Fury and he schooled the shit out of him. Klitschko, who was considered a technical fighter, got all the way schooled by Fury. And you kind of had the same thing this weekend. Like you had the big boogeyman Wilder, who knocks out all of his opponents. He still kept his knockdown streak alive. So, I mean, Wilder is still sort of the boogeyman. But Fury was in there, like, sort of toying with him, like, to a degree. And, to the uneducated eye, like, as far as, like, putting his hands behind his back, he was doing that in the beginning of the fight. But at the end of the fight, he was doing that shit for, like, 1 second. And he knew, like, to don't be too not to be too careless with the taunting and all that stuff, or leaving himself in a vulnerable position like that. He even put his hands on the rope, I think in the first round, and I thought he was gonna do that more than once, but he didn't do that. He just did it once and kind of kept it moving. But what the hell was I alluding to? Yeah, I lost my train of thought for a second. Nah, the Fury's well, I'll just keep freestyling. Fury, I didn't consider Fury has like a little bit of a lully, sort of technical, boring style, and I'm not gonna say he always fights like that, because that's I think that's a misinformation too. Like Fury sometimes puts on he's knocked out a lot of dudes too, but he did that against Klitschko and he beat him, and he did that against Wilder, and it wasn't boring though. Because you got two dudes in there with contrasting styles, and Wilder's this big killer, Fury's more of a really, 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 really technical guy, and Fury was schooling him in spurts. But I had Fury personally losing 5 of the first rounds, if I remember correctly. I don't have my notebook on me. I think I had, if I remember, but from what I remember from what I remember off the top of my head, it was 5 of the first rounds that I had given to Wilder. And full disclosure, it wasn't Wilder was beating the shit out of Fury in any of those 6 rounds. I mean, they weren't straight up toss-ups, because the one where he caught Fury in the nose and he started bleeding, that was more of a toss-up round to me. But I mean, Wilder caught him with a better shot at when he made him bleed. So I think that was that was a Wilder round. But there were all those other rounds were straight up toss-ups, but it wasn't Fury was tagging the dude. They were most of those rounds, Wilder had more punches than Fury. And don't give me the shit where Fury had the most solid shots, because he didn't. Those shots were kind of little counters and keep away punches when Wilder was going in there on the attack. And I'm not saying Wilder was catching dude on those attacks most times, because he really wasn't. But I was giving the rounds to Wilder because he had more punches land. He was engaging more. And this is only for the first 6 rounds. So I had it going to Wilder 5-1 in the early stages. And then in the latter half of the round, of the fight, you can't say that Fury swept those. That is bugging. One, for the obvious reason, he got knocked down twice. The first knockdown was a little bit I'm not gonna say he was caught off balance, but it was more of a little flash joint. He came right back up. I kind of knew he was gonna come right back up. I think Wilder knew he was gonna pop right back up too. He wasn't celebrating all crazy and whatnot. But then the second knockdown, I thought he was out for the count. Everybody in my house, because my wife was rooting for Fury. She was I knew he was gonna get caught somehow, and then the motherfucker popped back up, which I had never peeped something like that. Honestly, where a dude was staring up into the heavens and came up, man. That was dope, bro. I like to see stuff that I haven't seen in my life, and that was one of the events. So all in all, it made for a good fight, but I had Wilder winning. So this was my next point was something that was alluded to in a Fanon boxing stream that he did yesterday, and also subscribe to Fanon Boxing as well. But and I didn't think about it until he mentioned it. But for it to be a draw, you had to have given Wilder three rounds or 4 rounds if you were counting the knockouts as 10-8 rounds, which they were 10-8 rounds. Because you would literally, like, I mean, like, he would have, like, Fury did come back after the last knockdown and, like, kind of, like, you know, gave him, made a good account of himself. But he ain't win the round. Like, it wasn't, like, no 9-9 round because Fury was, like, fucking beeping and bopping, like, you know, hitting dude up. He did come back. Like, he ain't front. You know, he went in for that action again. But he definitely, like, didn't, like, do no shit to deserve, like, no 9-9. I mean, and I don't think anybody would contend that it was either one of the knockdown rounds were 9-9 rounds because of Fury redeeming himself after the knockdown, or like for any actions he did in that round where he got knocked down prior to those knockdowns. So those are definitely 10-8 rounds. So for Wilder to get a draw, it would require him to have won 3 rounds throughout that whole fight, and you factor in the 2 10-8 rounds. So Wilder would either have to win 4 rounds or 3 rounds for it to be a draw. And I mean, speaking plainly, in hindsight, and I had fucking moron Malinaji and that fucking other idiot like in my ear the whole time, like which kind of like throws you off to a sense. And I always say I'm gonna watch the fight with no volume, but that's kind of like weird. But I'm like, you know, thinking in my head, like maybe like some of the rounds that I scored for Wilder, you know, give and take, like a couple of them are toss-ups, whatever, like maybe 1 or 2 go towards Fury. But I'm not gonna like say that like of the like fucking 8 or so rounds or like whatever like that I gave to Wilder, that like 5 of them are going to fuck God, like, you know, like that I'm gonna change my shit on like, you know, 4 of them, or like that's like he didn't win those rounds like resoundingly like that, people. Like if you're saying, like, you know, a lot of times they'll give you points for being the one engaging. Now in this case, Wilder was engaging, but also Fury was nowhere fazed by that engagement of Wilder. Like, I mean, he wasn't getting caught. I give you that. But some people will give you points for like being the one engaging. Now, defense is another scoring statistic, I guess. So, like, you know, if you wanted to give Fury points for engaging, I mean, I'll give you that. You know, respect, whatever. But regardless of whatever statistic or however you grade it, you got to give points for the person engaging, and you got to give points for the person like defending and not being hit upon those engagements. So, I mean, you know, so we could count those all as toss-ups if you want. It's still, in my eyes, with 2 knockdowns, a draw or a victory for Wilder. I mean, if you're butthurt about like Fury getting the victory, I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that everybody thought that Wilder was going to make mincemeat out of Fury. I mean, and I thought so too. I'm trying not to get this fucking sweater dirty. It's brand new, and it's white. Bloosh is a polo sweater. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, but this is the second one I bought too, because the other one fucking caught like 2 stains on it, and I didn't even eat or anything. They're fucking mystery stains. But anyway, so you the fuck was I saying? God damn it, I did it again. But if you wanted to give any one of those, like, you know, to Fury, like, you know, you go ahead. But you can't tell me, I don't care who you are, that Wilder didn't win 3 rounds in that fight. I mean, it's hard to contend that Wilder didn't win 4 rounds in that fight, not including the knockdown rounds. Like, you know, another thing too, I mean, and this is like a side point, but Fury did show like that he has power, man. Fury does have power. Like, I mean, you'd be surprised. Like, Fury was playing a game of like not getting hit in the body, and he does that a lot. Like, Fury, it's not that he has a weak body, it's just that you can't reach his chin very easily. You gotta like be looking up like to reach his chin. So Fury could basically like paw at you with his left and like take away any attempts at you trying to like throw at his fucking at his chin. So Fury's defense is more like shelling up on his body. And when you try to engage his body, Fury usually just moves back, and he was doing that shit to Wilder all night. So I thought Wilder should have subscribed the tactic of trying to hit Fury in the body, and I think he was trying to hit Fury in the body. But when you see like dude's arms there, like you had a good chance at hitting elbow, at fucking up your hands. So and like on top of that too, Fury is like all jittery and all this shit. Like so, I think he put Wilder to sleep, not to sleep, but I think he put Wilder. He made Wilder like second guess himself a lot, like to where Wilder like probably thought like, yo, if I leap and land like a little grazing shot, I might hurt Duke, and then I could just try to explode on him. And Fury wasn't falling for that shit, because like the only way he was gonna be hitting Fury like that was to hit him in the head or hit him in the chin, and like Fury was staying out of his range by backing up so that he don't get hit in the head or chin. Even though he did end up getting caught in the latter portion of the latter half of the fight, but that I mean, much respect, like, because most dudes, they don't even know how to play shit off, like when they're hurt. And Fury, he probably was hurt after. I mean, he definitely was hurt in that last like knockdown, and he was still like engaging. You don't see dudes doing that shit, man. I'm telling you, like a lot of dudes, like they'll tie up. And he did none of that shit. I think Fury could have worn Wilder out more by like tying him up, and he was barely doing that shit. Like I think he was just happy, like picking and popping him from the outside. So yeah, that was that. I'm trying like if I remember any other points, like I'll mention them after the fact again. But immediately after the fight, I think Wilder was pissed because he knew like a lot more was at stake for him than there was for Fury. Like at the end of the day, this is still Fury on his comeback trail. Wilder's this big killer. The dude walked out of the ring like fine and dandy, and people were discounting Fury hard body, like saying that he was gonna get knocked out. I thought he was gonna get knocked out too. But I mean, Fury was able to survive it. Wilder, his stock sort of drops. I mean, like it's still like a draw. Like he still has his belt. But Wilder's stock sort of drops, where Fury's fucking shoots through the roof, like just on the draw. But I mean, like immediately after the fight, and now I want to see what happens next, because I mean, like initially, like Fury was like, I know Fury was happy to be alive, bro. Like fucking anything that he says otherwise after, like yesterday and today, like Sunday, today's Monday. I mean, I think he's gonna like if he says something like to the contrary, I think that's a little bit of a fronting on his part, because I think he was happy as hell to like come out of that shit like with a draw. I think he was happy to come out of that shit walking. So like he did like if he thought he won like outright like that, I mean he would have been like pretty pissed off. Like I mean he did say something in the press conference that he didn't want like his wife riffing and shit like that, like, or like they just wanted to get out of there, like in the event that like shit popped off. But damn, there was mad like UK dudes in there. There was mad American cats that are probably like Wilder haters, that were in there. Cause like you don't come to America and like dudes are like waving American flags. I don't care if you're fucking Kurt Angle, if you're like Captain America type shit. Like Americans, like we kind of like don't give a shit about each other like that, like fucking. And I mean you got to be like in a sub facet of a community in America to get love, i.e. like a Mexican American or a Puerto Rican American. Very rarely, like I mean, and I want to allude to this point like in coming up soon, like, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to get on and do this video. But very rarely you find like even like black, like like with a black fighter, you don't see like mad like black dudes that just get behind black fighter on the basis of him being American and black. That shit doesn't happen, bro. And like front on me if you want, but even Mayweather, There were mad people that didn't like Mayweather that were black, man. Come on, like I have a lot of people who are black, and a lot of them want to see Mayweather get fucked up. And like the thing is too, like when you got like like fanboys like of AJ's, or it's not like sometimes it's like fanboys, and then you got like a lot of dudes that just hate on whatever like Americans on top, whether it be Mayweather, whether it be, and now it's Wilder, like that gets a lot of shade. Andre Ward, who the fuck else like was getting shaded like Hardbody, like these American black fighters that are at the top of their game, who are like dominant. They'll usually get shitted on, man. Like you ain't getting nowhere, like with none of that shit. Like as far as like, oh, we just support this dude like because he's black. There's some dudes that will support you or GP like because you black, but that doesn't happen often, man. Like we're like and I say we because I'm Puerto Rican, as I probably indicated before, but I consider myself part of the plight of the American black man. I fucking grew up with American black dudes. My brother Carmelo, shout out to Carmelo, is blacker than fucking Wilder probably. So I mean, like and my grandfather was black. My cousin, I mean, y'all don't know like Spanish rappers like that. Y'all don't know Spanish rappers like that. But I have a cousin who's a Spanish rapper like in Puerto Rico. He's actually like famous, but his name is Lito, Lito, yeah, Lito. And he's fucking black, bro. Like fucking got dreads, like darker than most of y'all, bro. Like I got a lot of family that's, and I'm not saying like I'm down, like just because like I'm not gonna pander like to black cats just like for fucking views or whatever have you, bro. Like fucking, or like say like, oh, most of my friends are black. Like when a large reality that is the case, but and just and if you don't like what I'm saying, bro, like whether you black, white, whatever, like. I mean, at the end of the day, life goes on for me. But there's not an instance in this fucking country in which there's an American guy who's black who just gets mad love from any fucking community in America. And this dude, and look at Andre Ward, for example. Like, because like, and I wanted to like, but Andre Ward did everything right, bro. And on top of that too, Andre Ward's a fucking light-skinned like black cat, bro. Like they like to have like that token, like good looking black dude, like kind of like Christian, like that you would keep at the periphery and act like you're down and shit just because he's your friend. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not like a scary black guy. But like Andre Ward did everything right. The dude was a family man. He wasn't like acting like he was balling out like that. He stood in fucking the Bay Area his whole life. Like he had success there, lived there, fought in the Bay Area all the time, and he wasn't getting love like that. I mean, like dudes were jumping all on his shit, like when they said he lost to Kovalev. Like then you got like Mayweather, man, there was like Mayweather got a lot of bread fighting, and it wasn't just on the back of like fucking black American pay-per-view buyers because they loved them, even though. One of the things that like should be noted is that black cats buy more pay-per-view probably than Mexicans do. Straight up in this country, bro, like black cats are the biggest boxing fans. They have the most boxing fans that are black cats, and they don't get behind one guy like at any point. There's mad black cats that were just as much, if not more, behind, that were like avid boxing fans, that were just as much, if not more, behind AJ than they were Wilder when AJ was first coming up. Like, not when he was first coming up, but like when he first beat Klitschko. Like, there were mad cats that were saying, oh, I think that cat would beat Wilder because he's too wild, and this is like going like from a casual to avid box fan level, like where you had like, where they had similar love for both of them, or they had like, more distaste for Wilder, the American black cat, than they did for a British cat and AJ. You know what I'm saying? So there's no fighter, bro. I'm telling you, like, I don't know, like, I'm not gonna speak on Muhammad Ali. Like, I'm pretty sure like a lot of dudes were riding with him back in the day. But I'm just saying in general, man, like you never see like an American black fighter that is just fucking like raving support for him from the black community. Because as a people, we're not like that, bro. Like here in America, man. Like, you know, we be shading each other over here. Like in I don't know. I mean, I think it's like that. Like only in America. I've lived in Europe for 4 years too, and I didn't get that like inclination like where like they like where black cats in other countries would get shaded like that. Actually, no, that's not that I didn't get the inclination. I'll tell you for sure, black cats wouldn't get shaded as much as they do here in America. But and I'm not even speaking on that. I'm not speaking the relationship that outsiders have with black communities of their country. I'm talking about the American black cats. Like a lot of times, it's not like just like straight up support for a fighter just on the basis that he's American and black. You gotta like go through the ringer, bro. You gotta like clean, like you ain't getting a lot of times like fights with these Mexican big money cats if you're an American black cat. See Errol Spence, see the Charlo brothers, see Wilder. Like Wilder like is not getting like fights with like the big money cats. Like you ain't getting no fight with no Klitschko or like fucking with AJ's dodging ass. Like so there's not like a rousing like level of support for like American and I like, mind you, I'm not saying African American fighters. Like I wanted to, and I'm doing that purposely. Like, and not because I'm trying to be PC or politically correct. Like that's not a proper term. Like nah, I say what I want to anybody. Well, nah, but so you know, like it just doesn't happen like that way. And I think when I look online, like a lot of these, like, cause I be like, I have no life a lot of times. Like when I have shit to do, I be like on YouTube channels. I listen to everybody's shit. Much love to everybody in the LDBC. Like most of the videos I listen to LDBC, and I like there's other like British cats I watch. I watch like Boxing Squared. I used to watch Boxing Evil, not as much anymore. Who else? Ultra Tech. Like I like his channel. There's a couple other cats. Like sometimes I watch other cats at random, just out of boredom, too. Like dudes that I'm not subscribed to, or that are not necessarily in the LDBC. Not no anti-LDBC, like unless like it's just like fucking to get like fuel for my fire. But so it like it just doesn't happen that way. And the main point I want to get to is like there's a question now of like Mayweather, Andre Ward, who else had some stupid shit to say? I know it was them two, like off the top of my head, that immediately came out and said disparaging stuff or not stuff endorsing Wilder post fight. I think they both had it as Wilder losing the fight, or like, you know, like they were like pissed off that it was a draw. So basically, yeah, they had like Wilder losing a fight. Now, what I wanted to allude to, and I don't even know if I'm going to title it that, but like a lot of people are saying that they're cooning or they're buck dancing. And I wouldn't call it like cooning, so to say. But it's just as bad what they do. And it's like what a lot of cats like in this country do, bro. Like, you know, with a lot of cats in our communities, and like I'll say our communities, so-called minorities, which is like Spanish, black cats, and like, you know, and like somebody's contention may be that they don't do it as much in Spanish communities, and they're right. Like Mexicans, they kind of like outright support. Puerto Ricans, for the most part, they outright support like their fighters too. But I'll give him that. I'll give you that if you want to say that it's more like with the like black cats that don't get like rousing endorsements, or like they're held to like a little bit of a lot higher standard. But like Andre Ward, like I mean his commentary is like that he hopes that he runs it back. So I was saying to myself, maybe like Andre Ward is kind of like trying to galvanize like Wilder like for an immediate rematch or for a rematch in general. And I think actually that was part of what he was alluding to, or like I kind of thought he was alluding to that. I just know that he was shading him, and I was thinking in my head like maybe because I didn't read like through his statement at first, but that maybe he was trying to like galvanize Wilder like into a rematch immediately or down the line, And I found that to be true after I read the statements, or after I think I heard Blue Bud read his statement, but he said that that he doubts that Wilder is gonna give Fury a rematch, and like that he thought Wilder lost. Now that's like some herb ass shit like that. Like not, and then it kind of like made me change my tune. Like maybe like he's not just trying to motivate Wilder into like having a fight. He's just kind of like call him out like on some shit. Like, oh, like he's just gonna keep it moving and shit. Like, nah, man. Like, I mean, like, I'm pretty sure, and I hope Wilder does give him a rematch. I don't even want Wilder to fuck with AJ like in the short term, because like with that whole negotiation and how that shit played out, like them dudes ain't making no news right now. You ain't on the block right now. You in the suburbs, like you're like So let AJ and Eddie Hearn and all those cowards over there like rot on the sideline while like y'all like maybe have a trifecta for this fight, because it was dope anyway. So yeah, that was what Andre Ward said. And like some of the videos that I saw after the fact, they were like kind of like throwing him out there like he was cooning, and I could see that. But and I'll get to like what I think he was doing shortly. And then you had Mayweather, and Mayweather during the fight, he had that corny ass fucking Newsies hat. Like if you like from that movie Newsies, that where they like all the little kids that sell newspaper or shine shoes like in the 50s, actually like in the 30s. Fucking like the kid Tim from what the fuck is that shit called? That Christmas Story where they see the three ghosts. Who the fuck knows? Like the little crippled kid Tim. He had no shape up. Shit was looking all bushy, corny. But he said he had like all 5 rounds going to Wilder. And I say, I mean, sort of still not cooning to a degree, because he's always shitting out Wilder. Like the motherfucker always had bad shit to say about Wilder. So he's just like I consider more cooning like where you're saying it like for like the fucking acceptance of like the powers that be. You know what I'm saying? Like and there's dudes that are like that, man. There's a lot of channels that are like that. See Fresh One Counterpunch. Like he's ill on like that tip. Like you could tell like he's his baby mom is probably like some hoe that's like a 3, fat, probably got ran through like by other brothers in the past, and then he ended up dropping a seed in her because he had no money for condoms, and now he's stuck. But that's what I consider more like cooning in the classical sense. But what I consider like Andre Ward, and I think Andre Berto said some shit too. Like I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it was negative. Because these dudes have like, and I'm not exactly sure what he said, but like I'm probably guessing that it was negative, like what Andre Berto had to say. I just know he had something to say because I saw it like when I was scrolling on my YouTube shit. But I don't consider it more like cooning. I consider it more hating. And a lot of dudes, bro, like that, like in this country, like we only have hateful shit to say about each other, man. Like in our communities, so quote unquote. Like somebody put a meme up like a couple years ago, and I always remember. Like and I seen this shit like firsthand, like so it's kind of like why it resonated with me, where it said like a motherfucker could see you teleport, and they'd be like, oh, but what kind of car he drives? You know what I'm saying? Like, and like it's not just with dudes, like with sisters in the community. Like if you see another shorty that looks nice, let's say, right, and you're a female too, they don't be like, oh, I like the way you look today, unless it's like in a church setting or like some people being bourgeois like type shit. But they be like, oh, you think you look cute with that like jacket? Like, yo, she looks fly, bro. Like, just tell her she look like like I see you, bro. Like y'all both more likely than not, if y'all both in the hood, like y'all both trying to come up in the world, and one of y'all is looking nice today, like why can't like they be giving those shady compliments and shit. And dudes be hating too, man. Like everything that's attributed to like women, like as far as being shady with each other and jealous, like I'm talking about dudes in our community, bro. Like I'm not like talking about men's characteristics. Like this is for the brothers, if you will, and like, you know, a lot of Puerto Rican cats, like from my experience or the dudes that I've messed with, you know, Dominican cats, Puerto Rican cats, black cats, whatever have you, like from the hood. Like they be the same way, bro. Like they, you know, they don't got shit nice to say about each other, man. Like we shading each other all the time. You know, like to me, that's like some hater shit, man. Like, and dudes love to say, oh, like this motherfucker's hating on me, that person's hating on me, hater, hater, hater. But yo, it's like, and it's like, I'm not saying that that's something that we're pre-genetically disposed to do. I think we're just on some bullshit, bro, as a people in general. And that's just, and I mean, and don't think, and not that I've, not no revelation. Like when it bleeds into the boxing arena, where you have these cats like Mayweather, like Andre Ward, like any black, yo, I'm telling you, like you never see like a black boxer for the most part, like just mad bigging up a fucking other American black boxer. You'll see that like from these British cats. Yo, like this dude, Tony Bellew is like the ill like fucking lapdog for Anthony Joshua. Stay dick riding this man, bro. Like, you know, like you ain't even trying to fight Duke. Like you're trying to like, you know, keep dudes away from him type shit, bro. Like you're CJ to OJ Simpson, bro. Like, damn, bro. Like get off the dude's pickle, bro. Like you a rider, bro, in the worst sense. But like with Mayweather, in Mayweather's case, I think Wilder and even Fury and AJ to a degree could surpass Mayweather's money-making ability and popularity. That's straight up. I mean, if AJ wasn't such a hoe and he would have unified the division, you got like a, no homo, like a good-looking, like, you know, black cat, you know, a light-skinned dude, like, you know, fucking says all the right shit with 4 belts, like, you know, and dude, like, you know, in his late 20s, like, you know, like that dude would be like a megastar, and he would like make that $1 billion that he was setting out to make. I mean, it's gonna be tough swimming now, bro. Like, cause he's gonna be fighting like some retreads and some bums if Wilder and Fury have a trifecta. So good luck with all that, and that's just for you letting like Eddie Hearn's dumbass mismanage you. So good for you. I hope that's what happens. But you have a ton of like, you know, you don't get that like same vibe in with these European fighters or British fighters, like where they just like they actually support like their communities. Like, you know, it's a small like little island. They may not be that way with each other like off the rip, because they weren't that way with Fury like when he was fighting Wilder. Like these English fans were tearing Fury up, bro. Like, you know, you had I would say 9 out of 10 like comments like for Fury were bad, and it wasn't like, oh, he's gonna get beat up and shit like that. They were like semi-racist, like towards gypsies, like in the comments and stuff like that. Not all of them were like that, but you know, I would, you know, maybe like 1 in 30 was like that. But for the most part, they were like trashing like Fury before this fight. English cats, like you know what you think to be English cats, on the comments and on the videos, ripping them up, bro. Like, you know, like. So now that he's came to a draw with Wilder, I think he's gonna, you know, I don't think they're gonna have that same sentiment for him. But you think Wilder like knocking out Fury would have even got like anywhere close to that love? Nah, I don't think Wilder knocking out Fury and AJ and whoever, like, he would get that love. I'm not saying he would be like, he would make bread because he'd be like the villain like Mayweather was. Like Mayweather was caking it because dudes didn't like him. Like dudes wanted to see him lose. Like that's always been the verbiage surrounding Mayweather. Like, oh, people are paying to see him lose. So that doesn't sound like somebody who's just getting love from the community. Like black or American or black American. Actually, I saw the Mayweather fight with Pacquiao in because I was in Florida, so I actually went to a sports club to see it, and there was like all the Spanish cats were rooting for Pacquiao, all the you know, white cats were rooting for Pacquiao. There were a few like little Asians sprinkled in there, all for Pacquiao, And you could probably cut in half, like the black cats that were in there. It was like 50-50, Mayweather and Pacquiao. Like they, so it wasn't like, like that whole like shit where they're like, where they're people that just support you outright for being a black American. Like that shit, it's not happening, bro. You could be from Brooklyn and they don't, like Brooklyn, like cats won't support you like that. Like New York cats ain't supporting you like that. You could be from Alabama. I'm pretty sure not all Alabama is riding for Wilder. And Alabama's like a hick ass state, bro. Like it's fucking like just to spit in the pond, like out, out there. Probably got more heads in Brooklyn than fucking Alabama. But that's just how it is out here, man. Like, and it sort of goes into like well, I'll get to that maybe in another video because I don't want to be too long-winded or like jumping from place to place. So I mean, like, I think, and a lot of that stuff got to start changing. Like, I think it should change. I mean, like I try and I change it like firsthand too, man. Because like when I was in the street, so to say, I probably never had a fight like with a dude that was not a so-called minority ever, bro. And I've been in a lot of them. Not only have like most of the times I've been in like competitions or like altercations, been with minorities, but I'm Puerto Rican. Like for the most part, like I think 95% of my shits has been against like other Puerto Rican cats, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so I mean, it's like, within like the minority community here in America, or the ones that have black in them, i.e. Puerto Ricans, i.e. Dominicans, i.e. Black American, i.e. Caribbean. Like we ride on each other a lot, man. Like if we got behind each other, like just like on what I alluded to, like in the like in early on, like with the pay-per-view, like we would shut shit down on pay-per-view. We told them, yo, we ain't gonna buy your shit no more. Like unless we get this fight made. Like we would shut pay-per-view down completely. Like we like for the most part are the boxing community. And we don't get behind nobody, bro. Like, when one of our like fighters slip up as like a black American fighter, we kill the dudes, bro. Like with Errol Spence, like with this negotiation he got going on, like it was supposed with Bud Crawford, dudes were killing Bud Crawford in that negotiation. Dudes were killing Errol Spence like the other second. And this is like in the LDBC, like which is supposed to be like what people consider like to only get behind black fighters, which is not true. But dudes were killing them, like, and that shit changes from one day to the next. Like, oh, like, Bo Mac muttered this, so now, like, fuck Errol. Like, and then Errol, like, responded and said this, so, like, fuck these guys, like, Top Rank and Bud. Like, they're both fantastic fighters, bro. Like, and meanwhile, you got, like, a dude walking around here with an L in Lomachenko since his second fight, and they're saying, like, I'm not saying that, like, the black community or anything is saying that, but a lot of people in boxing, in the like the telecast, in like print publication, YouTubers, like they consider like Loma like a top fighter. Like meanwhile, this man's walking around here with an L, and like it's gonna be hard like for Wilder. Like don't think that I say that too in the sense that they ain't gonna let Wilder come back and like live like or outlive like a draw that he had with Fury when he knocked him down fucking twice. That was another thing that I forgot to mention earlier, but like, I'll say that real quickly, but to allude to my point that I thought Wilder won, like it's very rare that you see a fight in which somebody gets knocked down twice and wins the fight, unless he did some beast mode shit, i.e. like knock the other motherfucker down. You know what I'm saying? Like so, and that's kind of like, it kind of alludes to my point too, like where it's like the bar is like unfairly set for American black fighters, athletes too, like in other fields, but more so with boxing because it's a one-on-one like sport, and it's let me fix this so like you could look into my eyes like when I say my last point, but like that standard is it's pretty rugged, man, like for these American cats, and like dudes like on online will make it seem like Actually, that I'll get to it real quickly at the point I didn't want to allude to because I didn't want to take much time. But dudes be saying like, oh, like Wilder like got like no fans, like he can't even draw a stadium. All right, but then they'll be like, oh, but like these Wilder fanboys like can't like if Wilder got like no fans, like how are they even Wilder fanboys? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you gotta have like a decent level of fans, which I don't think Wilder has like that level of fans, like here in the country, like to have like fanatic people that are like just riding for him, to make it seem like it like, because people make it seem like it's just like when it comes to AJ and him, like that it's like that the only reason that AJ's name is even held, or Wilder's name is even held somewhere in the field of AJ, is because there's this mass number of Wild Boy fanatics. Like it doesn't have, that's not the way it is, bro. That's not the way it is with any American black fighter, period. There's not like a group of like people that are just riding for any American black fighter. I'm telling you, it just doesn't happen. Like, and I think that should change too. Like I don't think dudes should rock like that. Like we letting dudes off easy because like our fighters happen to dominate, and not American fighters, bro. Like because I like Danny Garcia is Puerto Rican. Like Danny Garcia ain't dominating a fucking thing. Like so this is not alluding to like Puerto Rican fighters. And Felix Trinidad, I mean, he was great. I liked him. Like he wasn't my favorite fighter. Just and because I don't ride with like just that's I'll say that in another video. But I don't ride with like Puerto Rican fighters just on the basis that they're Puerto Rican. Like we should make a move to like get behind our fighters like that more. And like it's not just with our fighters, man. Like start being good to your brother, man. Like I've deaded all that shit. Like of everything being a physical thing, like with my brothers, man. Like that's corny, bro. Like we could argue with like white cats, and then like when it comes to each other, it could like there's always that temptation of something physical. That's just corny, bro. Like, and I'm not saying that. Damn, my hair's looking fucking rugged, bro. I'm not saying that because I'm an older cat now. I wish I would have came to that revelation when I was young, man. I would have avoided a lot of shit. But like we got to start being good to each other, man. Like and if you rode for like, I think a lot of dudes like that are like, from the perception that I'm getting in these videos, like a lot of dudes almost feel like guilty for like rocking with Wilder. Like Wilder, like he did his thing, bro. Like he came out of there with the draw, came out of there with his belt. I thought he came out with a fucking victory, bro. I mean, he ain't killed the dude, and he ain't knock him out. He still fought admirably. I like what Wilder stands for the most part. That whole pregnancy thing was a little bit creepy, but it's time that we started like really, really getting behind our fighters, man. Like, cause imagine, bro, like if a fighter's state, like say it was like, cause I'm not gonna say like that any state like has more people than like the UK, and it's not competing with the UK, man. Like much love to the UK boxing community. They do the right thing by getting behind their fighters. We should like prejudicedly get behind our fighters like that. And I'm not saying like that we should hate on other fighters, nah, bro. But like we should ride behind our fighters like that, man. Like we almost feel like guilty to a degree, like for liking our fighters, or for our fighters straight up being dominant. So much love, man. Love to your brothers, love to your sisters, man. Love to my queens out there, my kings out there, the ones acting kingly. Some of y'all act crusty, but we were raised messed up, man. I was raised messed up just like y'all, bro. Like fucking. So I forgive you for all that. But it's a new time, man. It's a new place. Shit is rough out there. Like, we gotta start being good to each other, man. Like, look at like how none of these American fighters like have anything good to say about each other. You know what I'm saying? Like past or present. Like Tyson's doing the shit to Wilder. I don't know if Tyson had good shit to say about Mayweather. I don't think he did. I'm trying to like think off the back of my head, but I don't like, from what I remember. I don't remember like Mayweather getting a ringing endorsement from Tyson. I mean, I may be mistaken, but I'm trying to think if Muhammad Ali was giving it to Tyson, but I was kind of young then. But like from what I know now, you ain't getting like that unbiased, like just straight up pouring of love like from Black American fighters by other Black American fighters and from Black American fans to Black American fighters. And we should start being that way. Fuck that shit, bro. Like, don't feel guilty about being that way. To hell with it, bro. Like, you know, like, especially, like, you know, with somebody like Wilder, man. Like, if Wilder, like, were to unify this division and, like, the way Wilder speaks, you know, he's very candid about his feelings about, like, how things are, man. Like, damn, bro. Like, should ride with Duke like that, bro. Like, or with somebody who's doing that. He's trying to make the best fights. He's a family man. Like, come on, bro. Like, you know, if you don't ride with what he's saying, we don't need to hear your fucking opinion of how you feel like that he did or with something he did like fucking God knows when. Like, stop being a hater, bro. Like, you dudes are like living with too much hate in their heart for no goddamn reason, bro. Like, you know, stop. Yo, it's the age of love, bro. Stop with the hate. Like, if you got like some hater shit to say, man, just stay in the sideline, bro. Like, be quiet. Like, we don't want to hear your shit, bro. Like, you know, our youth are coming out that way now because of y'all crusty asses, bro, most times, bro. They hear your asses and, like, hating is the standard, bro. Like, stop hating, bro. Like, shit, if you don't got shit positive to say, like, be quiet. And that applicable to this Wilder situation. Because at the end of the day, status quo remained the same. He still got his belt. He came out with the draw. If he ain't get the victory outright, I mean, like, so be it. Like, now he's a big money fighter. When we see the pay-per-view numbers, like, to what, like, hopefully they, like, he cracked the 400 threshold or more. But, you know, like, things are closer to, like, a lot of these dudes having to fight each other, especially AJ's bitch ass. So, one love, peace to the new media, LDBC, the boxing community. Peace.